Dr. Oza, happy to be here today.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Oza is the founder and medical director of Your Concierge MD. As a dedicated physician and entrepreneur, he owns and operates 3 medical offices in Central Ohio. With a strong entrepreneurial spirit, Dr. Oza is passionate about mentoring and supporting aspiring business owners, providing the guidance and encouragement he wants benefit from on his own journey. Love to hear that. Want to start this thing out just by diving into that last sentence of your journey.
Yeah.
How you got here today. You and I have had the chance to be able to sit down, have a couple cocktails, get to know each other's background.
For sure.
Break it down for me. How did you get here today?
I was born and raised in India. I moved here in 2001. Very humble beginnings. In the beginning, I had to take all my exams all over again. I'd already finished medical school, but I had to do it over. I take all my steps and get into residency. By the time I graduated, it was 2010. And just like every graduate, you go and look for a great job.
For sure.
You don't go into entrepreneurship right away, right?
Yeah.
So for about 10 years, I had a great job. I always dreamed of owning my own business, owning my own practice. I just never saw the path to entrepreneurship. But after 10 years, being financially stable, owning a home, at that point I wanted to break the shackles and kind of buy a business. And it was a random Sunday evening that I was talking to one of the other physicians in the hospital, and I said, hey, by the way, if any of you want to retire, let me know, I'll buy you guys out. And he's like, as a matter of fact, yes, I am. And it was just like a casual conversation that turned into me buying a practice 5 years ago. It was an old school traditional medicine practice in Marion. I was able to scale it, add more providers, improvise on it, make it a little bit more modern. And now it's thriving, it's doing really well. But while I worked there, I realized the traditional medicine model is kind of flawed. The way that reimbursement is set up, it's not set up for the patient and the provider to have time to build a relationship. It's very 15 minutes, what do you need? Here's your medicine, get out.
Yeah.
And I got tired of that. And I was like, that I didn't come this far to come this far. Like I feel like I need to fix this. You know? And that's where this model was born after that, where I said, let's take insurance out of the equation. Let's just make it direct consumer to physician. It works out in both people's favor. It makes you become, there's some price transparency there. You know what you're paying for, you know what you're getting. You know, what's wrong with medicine is that there's a lot of surprise billing that happens. You'll go get an MRI, and then 3 months later they'll be like, you owe $2,000. Yeah. Where you had no opinion on that, or to say, hey, no, I actually won't get it if it's $2,000. Yeah. So here you pay for things as you go. You pay for them before. Patients love that, and it builds trust. For sure. You know, because right now there's not a lot of trust in general medicine. No. Everybody feels that physicians are out to get you or prescribe medicines, and you get kickbacks for doing certain things, and I don't think that's simply true. So providing that transparency and doing it this way has been really rewarding. My patients love it. I spend an hour with them on average when they come in. We can do a deep dive. I know everybody by first name. Sometimes they'll come to my home in the middle of the night and they need something. So this is bringing it back, bringing old school medicine back. You know, that, so I love that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So transparency on pricing, as opposed to going in and getting smacked with a bill afterwards. An hour as opposed to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I've heard recently that a lot of family doctors are quitting. Yeah. Because they don't like the 15 minutes in and out. It's exhausting. They don't get to spend real time with their clients. Yeah. What other things are you involved in? I know it's not just this. Yeah. Tell us more about the journey behind the scenes.
You know, a few years ago, I was reading this House bill in 2018, House Bill, I think it was 527. It was a bill about medical marijuana in Ohio. Yeah. And that's when I first got interested in entrepreneurship, and I started a medical marijuana company just based on this bill that I had read. It was an idea I had, and I thought, hey, you know, I could be, so I became the first person to write a medical marijuana card in Ohio. The day that it went live, I was able to prescribe it to someone. And for me, that was rewarding, because I do believe in the medical therapeutic benefits of medical marijuana. Totally. And it was a passion project. It's called Relief Health Clinic. We're still open, we're thriving, it's profitable. That was like one of my first ventures on my own. It was right when my kids were born, so it was really challenging. But that's one thing I do, and I also do some photography on the side. I do some drone photography. That's a passion project. I'm also the chair of medicine at Marion General Hospital. So I have a lot of responsibilities of going through patient charts and just making sure things happen correctly at the hospital. So these are some of the things I'm involved in.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us, and this is a little bit of the behind the scenes conversation that you and I had the pleasure of having.
Yeah.
Tell us about the realness, like the struggles, like some of the things you have to go through in order to have success as an entrepreneur and do the things that you're doing.
You know, when you sent me that question, I was like, okay, let me really think about what is actually kills most entrepreneurship. And
For sure.
And the quote that always comes to my head is, doubt will kill more dreams than failures will. And so managing your self-doubts, because as an entrepreneur, you're always going to doubt yourself. You're going to wonder if your idea is going to land, if people will come, even if you have this amazing product or feature. Will people see it? How will and every day as an entrepreneur, I feel like you're problem solving, right? Every day there's a new problem. So managing your doubts, managing problems every day, just being fearless, and that is the biggest part of the entrepreneurial journey. And I think once you overcome self-doubt and say, I can get through this no matter what, I can challenge any problem, I think you'll be set up for success.
100%.
Yeah.
And just for the people that are wondering about entrepreneurship and what it really takes, you shared with me times where you had to go get a second job when you're in medical school.
Yeah, of course.
Where you had to really hustle to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
You had to double down on a lot of different situations.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would say about like what the patience it takes to be able to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think at that time I didn't have a choice, but I was poor. Like you're making a certain amount a month and you're budgeting how much you have for food, how much you have for going out, being able to stick to that budget. I think that was a hard lesson I learned.
How long of a time was that?
It was 10 years. 10 years of grinding it out.
Not overnight.
No, it was just from moving from another country to getting a driver's license here, buying my first car, getting a job, living on Subway sandwiches, getting in residency.
What kind of Subway sandwich?
I would eat a meatball sandwich every day. Let's go. It was like
I gotta know the details.
It was like $6 for a 6-inch sub and like some chips and a drink.
$5 so long,
$12 a day. I was good. Just things. I've done all that.
Yeah.
And now that I have so many employees and I see the struggle, I think it helps me understand how important it is to pay employees well, keep them happy, not make them go through life struggles. I think that's become one of my main things, and I think I retain a lot of my employees because I can empathize with what they're going through. It wasn't easy, and even when you get into residency, you're working 80 hours a week. On average, you're getting paid about $4 an hour. You're making $44,000 a year. It's a struggle, but you're working all the time. But I think that's why physicians, when they come out of school, they really are they're really trained for anything. And I think that physicians are a dying breed. Nobody wants to go into medicine anymore because of how hard it is. I think it really, that 10 years I'll never forget. And I think it built me to who I am today.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're here for mentorship.
Yeah.
Obviously with the business hop coming up.
Yeah.
Tell us about the mentorship side. So what have you done to mentor? Tell us about that journey, and then tell us a little bit about your mentorship that you had along the way.
Yeah, so like I said, when I was an employed physician, I was surrounded by a few colleagues of mine that did break the mold, and I would always engage them in conversations. So how did you break the mold? What did you do? And so I was mentored by some dentists that started their own practice, some physicians that started their own other different ventures and practices, and they really inspired me to do that. I was obviously mentored by a lot of physicians through residency and med school. But really the business entrepreneurship side was from other colleagues who own their own practices. And I have personally mentored a lot of other physicians to open their own practice, or other med students. I've had med students who now become physicians and have joined my practice. I've kind of always had med students and physicians, to mentor. Yeah. Was
there a specific moment that you remember that was super pivotal for you on your journey, or?
I'll tell you a story. There was a med student that came that was rotating with me that wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And he followed me around for a month. And at the end of his rotation, he decided to not go into orthopedics. And he said, I'm going to come work for you. And, I thought he was joking. And 4 years later, I met him at Pins Mechanical in Dublin. and he was in his second year of residency, and he came up to me, he's like, hey, how are you doing? I'm not joking, I want to come work for you. I graduate next year. And I was like, all right, come over for dinner, and if you're serious, like, let's start planning. That was such a surreal experience for me, you know, like a med student just like with so much conviction coming and saying that I want to come work for you. And then now he's been working with me for a year. He's the best person I've ever hired. He's just taken over my Marion practice and made life easy for me. That was like the greatest moment in my entrepreneurial journey, where someone said, hey, I want to come work for you. You know?
Badass. Yeah,
So
that's outstanding.
that was cool, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself now, 10 years ago?
Don't be afraid. The time to start is now. Because I always waited, those whole 10 years, I just waited for the right moment. And there's never a right moment, you know? And I think I also really do believe in kind of putting it out there in the universe and imagining what you want, and then you get it, you know? And I think that I always imagined it, and that's why I got it. If I never imagined it, it would have never happened.
So you always kind of had this in the back of your head and manifested it, and then eventually took the steps to...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do believe in manifestation all the way. I feel you have to manifest your dream and obsessed with it, and only then you'll get it.
100%.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
What do you want to see more from mentees today? This generation, the types of folks that you're exposed to, that you're out there. Is there any certain traits that you've pinpointed that you want to see improvements on?
I like people with grit. You know, people that can take on any challenge. I think that is the one thing I look for a lot. I also look for a sobriety. I feel like a lot of people in this generation are out partying, and they get lost in just, you know, going out all the time and things like that. But the really true people are focused are not out at bars and clubs. They are actually at home, they're working on their craft, and they're looking at what other people are doing, and they're obsessed with it. If you're not doing that, or if you don't learn how to do that, you'll never succeed.
I love that. That's a very unique answer the first time I've heard that.
Is that true?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because
you got to
people
have an
want all these
obsession.
things. Yeah, you have to be obsessed with what you're doing, and you really need sobriety to think clearly when you're first starting out. I mean, once you've made it, yes, you can go out and have all the fun you want, but in the beginning stages, you need your mind to be clear, you need to exercise, you really focus on where you want to get to.
100%. Well, Dr. Oza, everybody, he will be at the Business Hop on the 26th. We're super excited. Any last words for you?
I'm excited to meet everyone. I hope I can add some value to your life. I hope I can, you know, help someone, you know, do something what I did. And if I did that, I'd be thrilled.
Love that.
So,
thanks, brother.
thanks, man.
Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.